Like you said, memory played a huge role in this series, whether it be on one hand, remembering a loved one who passed away tragically. On the other hand, memory played a role in the false confessions in this case. And there was an Austin filmmaker who couldn't finish her own documentary, who that's what it was focused on. That seemed to be the theme, the false confessions of two of the people who were ultimately convicted, and then their convictions were overturned in this case. And she was going in the direction of false confessions. You were making a documentary that also focused on grief and in it, seemingly in a different direction. So, can you talk to us about how you pieced together footage from 2009 in the false confession direction into your larger documentary?
I mean, that footage was a gift because none of the boys, and one of them is passed, but did not want to speak with me. We tried to reach out to them, and she had filmed them really intimately in 2009, and and I became friends with Claire. I think she's an amazing human being, and often when I got stuck, I would talk to her or interview her again because in a way, like I felt like Claire's experience of feeling like really overwhelmed by a story was very similar to mine, and you could even bring that out to any filmmaker or creator because this was such a complicated story. And I mean, she hadn't even been out of school that long, and it was just her and someone making the film with her, and and I had this whole team, and I felt so bad for her because even though like she was looking to do something much more specific than I was, she was interested in like false confessions. I was interested in more about the case and grief, like I said, and memory, a different interest group. She still had she was a really good filmmaker, and I felt so bad that she became overwhelmed by it because, I had a whole team helping me with HBO and A24 and Fruit Tree and it's hard to I was like, girl, I had a whole team and you had like a few people. It's just not fair. And she's such a good filmmaker. So, but I did feel like there was something I could really relate to and that feeling of overwhelm. And there was also a sense that this story was somehow cursed. It somehow cursed everyone that touched it. It wasn't just the families that were impacted, although clearly they were impacted the most, but there was this sort of like ring of trauma around it with the way it affected Claire, the way it affected the investigators, the way it affected the city of Austin. It was a really dark story, and I felt like Claire was some I could go back to over and over and discuss this because she's such an empath and she understood, all the stakes.
And I could imagine how easy it would be to be overwhelmed by this. And especially, there was one shot, you could just see how much footage she had, right? She had multiple hard drives, she had multiple tapes. I mean, just a slew of tapes. And it could be very easy to be overwhelmed. Was that the hardest part, do you think, as a director here, doing this or covering this story that had so much to do with trauma, had so much to do with grief? It was almost like picking a scab, not only, as you said, of the families, but really the entire city of Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think when I accepted this job, I was like on the road promoting my last film, and I didn't really think about it. I thought, oh, this is a job where I can be at home in Austin. It's part of my community. I can make something that's a lot of my films are about where I'm from in the South, and I've never really made one. Well, that's not true. I have made one about Austin, but it was something I felt like, oh, I can stay at home. I don't have to be on the road all the time. And, also it pays homage to where I live. It's really important to people here. But I didn't really think about, oh my God, this is going to be, forget like all that. Like, this is going to be really hard to make for my crew that I work with all the time. This is going to bring them through this because I didn't know, because I hadn't done a story about unresolved murder and rape before. I didn't know. And I've made some really dark stories, but this was different because I know 34 years in a certain way is a long time ago, but in another way, it's really alive for these families. So I didn't really see that coming, I guess.